On this episode, we're going to go over the Necromunda heavy weapons from the Trading Post.
Dome Runners TV, your guide to the Underhive and beyond.
Hey there, scabby scummers and gangers. Crimson Oracle here with another episode of Dome Runners TV. Today, I am going to be running down the various heavy weapons in the Necromunda Trading Post and what I think of them, what they do, and whether they are, worth investing in. These are obviously the big hitters, the most powerful weapons in the game. And in a game like Necromunda, where you are often fighting hordes of, little annoying, inexpensive guys, it's not always the best bet to buy heavy weapons. So they don't tend to have the best reputation, but some are real standouts over the others. And we're just going to go through all of it and kind of take a look and consider why you might want to take those weapons, what they do, etc. But before we get to that, I did want to say that it's been a few months off. I've just been really busy with work and kids and stuff, but I am back and I'm hoping to get back into the swing of weekly videos. So
if you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and for as little as $2 a month you can become a patron and help support the show.
Time to get into heavy weapons in Necromunda. Coming up first, we have the Harpoon Launcher for 110 credits and rarity 9. It has a 6-inch short range and an 18-inch long range. It is +2 to hit at short range, strength 5, AP -3, damage 1, 5-up ammo roll, and it has drag, impale, and scarce. This one is a bit of a quirky, fun, but kind of weird weapon. It's not that strong, and the range isn't great. But it does have AP -3, which is really useful, and the drag and impale rules are pretty funny. They allow you to shoot through a target into the next target, and then you resolve against them, and so on and so forth. And the drag rule allows you to move the target D3 inches closer. This is not something that's going to necessarily be crucial to how the weapon functions, but it is a good way to kind of mess with your opponent's setup. And yeah, so I don't think it necessarily is the end-all be-all of heavy weapons, but I really like it because, one, it is the only heavy weapon that doesn't have the unwieldy trait, and two, it is weird, and it's fun to take a weird weapon and kind of just mess around and see what it can accomplish. So while it's not the best of the bunch, I do think it has its place as a kind of odd option. And I mean, don't get me wrong, strength 5 is useful. It can definitely put the hurt on a lot of fighters. Even, a Death Maiden that has taken a toughness increase is still going to be wounded on a 4-up with this weapon. So it does have its functions. It's just a little bit, you got to get close and you got to worry about the sort of retaliation. You pull someone closer to you, you may pull them into charge range if they haven't activated yet. Or you may not get to activate first next turn or what have you. So it's not a weapon that's perfect for every situation, but it can definitely be used to great effect to disrupt your opponent's plans and alignment and arrangement of models. So if you're trying to get around some blockers and to get to someone, it can be a great way to set up a charge later. Next up, we have the Venerable Heavy Bolter, 160 credits and rarity 10. These are not easy to get your hands on, but having a short 18-inch range and a long 36-inch range, +1 to hit at short range, strength 5, AP -2, damage 2, rapid fire 2, unwieldy, 6-up ammo roll. This is a beast of a weapon. It is arguably one of the best heavy weapons. It is overkill perhaps a lot of the time, but you do have the ability to use that rapid fire to spread your shots around if your opponent is clumped up, but it is certainly overkill if you're shooting at one toughness 3 target, firing 2 rapid fire dice. You may do it just because it's fun to kind of chance it, but let's be real, this is a weapon that you want to keep available and shooting. So if you're shooting at a single target and there's no one else around, it may be smart just to roll one of the rapid fire dice, because honestly, strength 5, AP -2, damage 2, it is going to slaughter. It is a very mean weapon. So consider this one for anyone who is like just an absolute bruiser. It is not nearly as good without a suspenser, which does put it into the astronomical 220 credit range or something like that, which is just, I mean, that's a lot to invest in a model. So, maybe take it early and don't give it a suspenser. But it's definitely one that you're going to want to protect. And any kind of resistance to pinning is going to be your best friend with a gun like this. So it's not going to be for everyone. Certainly not everyone can access it. You're going to have to roll for it in a lot of cases. But of the Rarity 10 weapons, it is definitely among the best. Next up, we have the Heavy Flamer at 195 credits and Rarity 10. It is a massive investment and is going to come with a template weapon, obviously. Strength 5, AP -2, damage 1, 5-up ammo roll, blaze, template, and unwieldy. So essentially, it's a flamer that is stronger and better AP, but at the cost of being significantly more expensive and much more rare. And the big drawback, it's unwieldy. Flamers are short range weapons. They're the kind of thing that you want to be, running forward to get to your opponent. And I just don't see the drawback of unwieldy being worth the sort of extra cost when you add it all up. So overall, I'm not a fan of the Heavy Flamer. I'm not alone in this. It's kind of widely panned because of its price. But I obviously, there are situations where it can be very useful. It will shred groups of opponents when you get to them. So, if you've got a zillion credits and you want to invest in a Heavy Flamer with a suspenser and put it on someone who's going to be fast and moving up quick and just absolutely devastating groups of your opponents, group activating or whatever, then there's a case for it, I guess. But it's just not one that I'm particularly over the moon for. Next up, we have the Heavy Stubber coming in at 110 credits and Rarity 7. This is the bread and butter of the Necromunda heavy weapons. Short, 20-inch, long, 40-inch, and it's -1 to hit at long range. Strength 4, AP -1, damage 1, 4-up ammo roll, rapid fire 2, and unwieldy. It is a cheap option. It's only a little bit more expensive than a plasma gun. It's not as strong as a plasma gun. It doesn't have as much AP, but it has a decent ammo roll, and it's not scarce or unwieldy. So it does have that going for it. And AP -1 on a strength 4 weapon is good. It's really good if you are hitting a lot with the rapid fire 2. You're gonna have at a minimum two hits for each time you use both dice. So it has a kind of quality to it that comes from quantity, as they say. But it is going to be kind of the poor cousin to a lot of the rest of these heavy weapons. Obviously, the Heavy Bolter. It takes kind of the same bones and it increases strength, AP, and damage while also being more accurate. And yeah, it's that this is a Rarity 7 weapon that's on a lot of the house lists that really makes this a common heavy weapon. And it does function well for what it is, but you do still have the issue where without a suspenser, a lot of the time a plasma gun is just going to be a better buy, and that's since it's in that price range, directly what it's competing with a lot of the time. Of course, this is a much more thematic choice for a lot of gangs. If you're playing Caudor or Orlok, the Heavy Stubber is definitely more on brand for your particular gang because of their preference for slug weapons. So I say it's worth taking, in the right context, but you just can't expect it to do the serious stopping power work that, some of the other heavy weapons are really good at. Of stopping power, next up we have the las cannon. Coming in at 155 credits and rarity 10. It has a 24-inch short range and 48-inch long range, and a +1 to hit at long range. Strength 10, AP -3, damage 3, 4-up ammo roll, knockback, unwieldy. This thing is a powerhouse. I mean, strength 10 alone, you've got that, +1 to hit at long range. So this is a weapon that you want to put high and distant. And hopefully, if you put it in the right spot often enough, you will not need a dispenser in order to make it work, because you're going to be hitting at +1 at a range where your opponent is often going to be either missing or, not even in range of their weapons. So if you can wrangle that, the las cannon is a very useful way to remove individual opponents who you absolutely have a prejudice against. You want to absolutely put them down. It's brutal. It is expensive for a weapon that is only ever going to hit one person. It's a lot to invest in it. You are going to be devastating anything you hit. Damage 3 alone is going to kill a lot of your standard opponents. But the downside is that if you decide to put a dispenser on it, you're over 200 credits, and even at 155, it's definitely not going to be doing the same job as, say, a plasma gun or two plasma guns in the case of las cannon with a dispenser. So it is situational. It's one that you're going to really like if you're facing vehicles, or your opponent is taking a lot of heavy armor. If your opponent is running a lot of high toughness fighters that are wearing armor, then a las cannon can get the job done. But you have to make sure that it matches the environment that you are in. If you're playing a lot of tunnel games and you're not at that long distance very often, it could definitely be that you want to spend a little bit less and get something a little bit different. Next up is the mining laser, the poor person's las cannon. It is very similar stat-wise. It's cheaper and it's tuned for short range. So the mining laser is 125 credits. It's a little less rare at rarity 9, and it has 18-inch short range, 24-inch long range, -1 to hit at long range. Strength 9, so a little less strong than the las cannon. AP -3, damage 3, same. Ammo roll 3 up, slightly better, and unwieldy, no knockback. So the mining laser is a really great thematic choice for the gangs that deal with mining as part of their work. Orlok, your Genestealer cults, your Helot cults, your Goliaths, anyone who is heavily involved in the mining trade. Mining lasers are a good choice for them because it fits your gang's theme, but it is not a weapon that I particularly favor for infantry, simply because it is very short range. It doesn't have a +1 to hit at close range. It has the strength 9, which is really good, but it's overkill. You can usually get by just as well with the strength 6 plasma gun. And while AP -3 and damage 3 are great, it's also kind of overkill compared to a plasma gun. And unwieldy is just the sort of nail in the coffin on that front. I will say that it keeps firing, something you do not have to deal with on the plasma gun. But overall, I really think that the mining laser it's a situational weapon. I will say this, it is my absolute favorite weapon to put on a vehicle, because it's only a little bit more expensive than a heavy stubber, but it can actually punch through other vehicles. Vehicles are fast, and vehicles do not have to worry about weapons being unwieldy. Put that together, and this is, I think, your go-to choice for a vehicle, unless you're really feeling spendy and you want to, spend the extra credits on a las cannon, which will definitely be in range more often and will be more likely to hit. So it's kind of it's in a weird place, as far as weapons go. That might be one of my favorite of the various weapons. The missile launcher is 165 credits and rarity 10. It comes with 2 different fire modes, and they are awesome. Both have great function for what they are. So first you have frag missiles, 24-inch short range, 48-inch long range, +1 to hit at short range, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1, 6 up ammo, 5 up blast, knockback, unwieldy. I mean, this thing has everything. You've got the +1 to hit at short range. You've got it's decent strength for a frag weapon, AP -1 on a frag, 5-inch blast. It's a massive pie plate of destruction. You fire that at standard fighters who are toughness 3 and wearing either, flak or no armor, or even mesh armor, and they're going to be hoping for 6s to save for the damage. You're going to devastate them. It's only damage 1, but, the goal of a frag weapon is to hit as many people as possible, not to punch through as much as possible. And you might knock people off buildings with it. It's great for shooting at the insides of the vehicle transport bed, because you can see everybody and you can then easily put a pie plate down and just devastate them. So this is a good one, and that's before we even get into the other profile. Included in the base costs are also crack missiles, which are similar 24-inch short range, 48-inch long range, +1 to hit it short. And these guys are clocking in at strength 6, AP -2, damage 3, 6 up ammo roll, and unwieldy. So in addition to your anti-infantry weapon, you have an anti-hard target weapon. You are clocking in at strength 6, which is going to wound even the toughest of infantry, usually on a 4-up. I mean, you're not going to see fighters with more than strength 6 very often. It can do a decent job against vehicles because it also has the AP -2, so it's going to cut through a lot of armor, and damage 3 really gets the job done against infantry and vehicles. The only real downside of this is that it's not a specialist at either killing infantry or killing strong targets, but I view that as a good thing because you are going to potentially face both, and missile launchers are able to handle whatever you throw at it. They're not perfect, they're not the best at either of those functions, but they get the job done. So I think that a missile launcher is a strong choice. Personally, I really like them, even though I actually haven't run one in any of the gangs that I've been playing recently, just because I've been playing low-tech gangs and I've been trying to go for low-tech equipment. But soon I will have a missile launcher gang, and it will be awesome. Speaking of unitaskers, the Multi-Melta, 190 credits, rarity 11, short 12-inch range, long 24-inch, short +1, strength 8, AP -4, damage 3, 4 up ammo, blast 3 inches, Melta, scarce, and unwieldy. So, Melta weapons are mean. Don't get me wrong. They absolutely devastate anything they hit. But a heavy weapon with only 24-inch range is a hard sell, especially when it has unwieldy. And then add in the fact that it's so expensive and hard to get compared to what the strength and AP and damage of it is. It's just a question of whether you want to put all your eggs in one basket like that, because whoever you give this to, you're putting a target on their back. And it's obviously amazing at taking out vehicles. If you are struggling with cargo weight ridge haulers and you have a way to put the Melta within range of them, then do it. But overall, it's just not, to me, worth putting 190 credits into something that is so situational. I like my weapons to be a little bit more flexible, and that's a personal thing. If you want the ability to absolutely wipe any vehicle off the map, take out pretty much any fighter that you shoot with it, it is your go-to weapon. It's just, will you pay the price? With a Suspenser, this thing is more expensive than a base ridge hauler. Just think of it that way. Is a Multi-Melta as good as a ridge hauler? Of course not. But it is able to destroy one, so it does have that going for it. Plasma Cannon, 130 credits, rarity 11. It's hard to find, but the price is relatively reasonable. The reason, of course, is because it's a little bit on the shorter range side at short 18, long 36. It has +1 to hit at short range, And at low setting, it is strength 6, AP -1, damage 2, 5 up ammo roll, rapid fire 1, scarce, and unwieldy. This is a multifunction weapon. The base shot is actually going to do a decent job of taking down your first target, which means there's a decent chance that you will have extra shots that you'll be able to spread around. So it can hit multiple targets if you fire it on low, and if you fire it on high, which we're about to get to, it is even able to do more. So at maximum, the plasma cannon is strength 8, AP -2, damage 3, 5 up ammo, 3-inch blast, scarce, unstable, and unwieldy. So of course, this has the same plasma drawbacks as the plasma gun, but the fact that you're able to either hit multiple times with the strength 6 mode or hit an area with the strength 8 mode means that this thing is actually surprisingly good at clearing out both groups and your standard heavy, well-armored opponent. It's going to do work against both. It is even decent at anti-vehicle, since strength 8 is going to be wounding the sides of a ridge hauler on a 4-up. The only real downside is that you might run out of ammo, but you're not going to necessarily care that this thing is running out of ammo because it's going to do so much damage. Of course, there's the chance that it will explode and blow up the firer, but this is Necromunda, and the people firing your guns should be considered expendable. Overall, I really like the plasma cannon. It is very high-tech though, so it really only works in the more thematically high-tech gangs, unless your gang just happens to be really running away with the credits, and then you want to show how opulent and powerful they become. Then your COD or plasma cannon, I guess, becomes something that is feasible. And finally, we have the seismic cannon, another dual fire weapon. It is 140 credits and rarity 10. The shortwave version is 12-inch short range, 24-inch long range, and it's -1 to hit at long range. Strength 6, AP -1, damage 2, 5 up ammo, and it has knockback, rapid fire, seismic, and unwieldy. Now, on its face, this seems like it's not going to be as good as the plasma cannon. And in terms of like a damage output standard, it is generally speaking not going to perform as well. But this weapon has a bit of a different function. Seismic weapons have the advantage of pinning opponents who can't be pinned and forcing your opponent to take a loss of control test when you hit their vehicle. Those are both really, really potentially useful functions because it allows you to take out a charger who usually would be able to avoid being taken down, like, Lobo Slave or what have you. And it'll pull bikes right to the ground, and it's going to potentially wipe out your opponent's vehicle, which is really great. Now, at the higher frequency version, you have -1 to hit at short range, strength 3, AP 1, damage 1, 5 up ammo roll, knockback, rapid fire 2, seismic, and unwieldy. So this is even more interesting. You get to have the benefit of the seismic potentially hitting more targets. It's going to function better at longer range, but you're not going to do as much damage, which is, not necessarily the purpose of a seismic weapon anyway. Just being able to kind of disrupt your opponent's flow and hit multiple targets and drop them to the ground. The seismic cannon has a function, but it is one of those weapons you have to really think about how you use it and where you deploy it, because it is going to be it's an expensive cost. It's unwieldy, so you either have to be well protected and hidden and then use it at the right time, or you have to pay for the dispenser. But what I really like about it is that it functions just in a different way, that is, kind of unique the way that the harpoon launcher is unique. So the fact that it's also used as, mining equipment means that it's thematically a good choice for a lot of Necromunda gangs. And it's an interesting weapon. It does kind of its own thing. And there is something to be said for taking something that your opponent doesn't quite know what to expect from it. Especially when you're, shooting them with the strength 3 mode at long range and they think that, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. And then you get up close and just melt them. So overall, not my favorite of the heavy weapons, but I think one that there's definitely a case to be made for in the right context. And that is going to do it. Those are all of the heavy weapons on the trading post. I will be doing another video where I go through the special and heavy weapons that are available at the black market coming soon. But of course, I also want to get to some lovely other videos that I have planned, including lore videos on House Escher and the next episode of the Frontier campaign. And yeah, so I've got a lot of stuff kind of planned. I've got several episodes written. It's just a matter of getting everything recorded and done. So on to the outro. Thanks as always to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio for the show's music. And of course, thank you to my patrons. You all make this show possible. I could not do it without your support. And of course, if you would like to support the show, for as little as $2 a month, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/domerunners. And everybody, of course, check out the podcast. Search Dome Runners on your favorite podcatcher. I have a new episode that just came out last Friday, and I am looking forward to covering more topics in the near future. With that, everybody out there, please stay safe and don't forget to change your paint water.